Dzień za dniem, noc za nocą. Nasze życie upływa pod bezkresnym niebem. Marzymy o rzeczach wielkich, ale życzymy sobie rzeczy prostych. Myślami wybiegamy do przodu, ale jesteśmy świadomi, że życie toczy się tu i teraz. Spoglądamy w niebo z dobrego miejsca na ziemi.
Maturzyści, mam nadzieję, że wciąż jesteście z nami. Teraz dla Was przygotowaliśmy specjalnie lekcję języka angielskiego, którą poprowadzi pani profesor Monika Zalewska. Dzień dobry, pani profesor.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed your Easter and you had not too much to eat, not too much to drink, and you enjoyed your free time. We're going to start with homework because we had a reported speech last time. So we'll start with homework, we'll check the homework, and then I had a different idea for today because we've always done grammar from the very beginning, matury examination, writing, and grammar. So today I thought I could show you how to prepare for the oral examination, meaning what to do, how to practice, and prepare yourself for your oral examination. I know that you might not have your oral examination because there are some rumors that maybe they will get rid of it, but even though they might cancel it, you will still find it useful, maybe for just pure revision of vocabulary, maybe for your revision for your oral examination to your FCE, CAE or proficiency. So let's start with homework. Let's do the reported speech thing, and then we will go to the oral examination. Okay, you were supposed to do the tasks presented here, so I will do that with you so that you know what you were supposed to do there, and you can check your answers. Okay, so you have direct speech, you have to change it into reported speech. Let's go one by one very quickly. I'll see you in the morning, Helen. Peter told Helen he would see her in the morning. Maybe I'll just look, oh no, this is too small, definitely. Okay, so I'm taking the 5:30 train tomorrow evening. So Janet said, you have present continuous, one tense back, so she was taking the 5:30 train. Tomorrow has to change, so the next evening. The trousers have to be ready this afternoon, can be changed into one tense back. So Pam told the dry cleaners the trousers had to be ready. This has to change into that, so that afternoon. I left my umbrella here 2 days ago. Left, past simple, one tense back, so past perfect. Susan told them she had left her umbrella there. Here changes into there. 2 days ago changes into 2 days before. Yes? So Susan told them she had left her umbrella there 2 days before. The parcel ought to be here by the end of next week, and ought to, remember, is one of those that do not change because they have nothing to change into. So Brian said that the parcel ought to be there by the end of the following week. Next changes into the following. I like this hotel very much. You have present simple, so you have to change it into one tense back past simple. Then this has to change into that. So Diana told me she liked that hotel very much. I think it's going to rain tonight, so William said he thought it was going to rain, and tonight changes into that night. Okay? So those were reported statements. Now let's go to reported questions. Do you watch television every evening, Chris? So the interviewer asked Chris. You don't have the question word, so if he, and you have present simple, watched television every evening. Why did you apply for the job? Asked the sales manager. The sales manager asked me why. You have the question word. You have past simple, so one tense back, past perfect. The sales manager asked me why I had applied for that job. Remember, this changes into that again. Are you taking much money with you to France? My bank manager wanted to know if, because you don't have the question word, you have present continuous, so past continuous, one tense back, if I was taking much money with me to France. When will I know the results of the examination? Maria asked the examiner when, and you have will, so one tense back is would, when she would know the results of the examination. Are you enjoying your flight? So the flight attendant asked me if I was enjoying my flight. Remember to adapt also the personal pronouns. How does the photocopier work? I asked the salesman how the photocopier worked. That's it. Have you ever been to Japan, Paul? Sue asked Paul if he had ever been to Japan. Those are all the reported questions. Now let's go to the vocabulary that you can use in reported speech. No, it's not true, I didn't steal the money, so Jean denied stealing the money. Why don't we go to the cinema this evening? It's a suggestion, so Peter suggested going to the cinema or that they went to the cinema. I've broken your pen, I'm awfully sorry. If somebody says they're sorry, then it's apologizing. So David apologized for breaking Jack's pen. Don't forget to post my letter, will you, soon? Well, this is reminding somebody of, about something. So David reminded Sue to post her letter. Let me carry your suitcase, John. So Harry offered to carry John's suitcase. All right, it's true, I was nervous. Well, this is a confession, definitely. So the leading actor confessed to being nervous, or that he had been nervous. I don't think Liverpool will win. That's a doubt. So Vanessa doubted whether Liverpool would win. If I were you, Bill, I'd buy a mountain bike. Definitely. Stephen advised Bill to buy a mountain bike. You murdered Lord Digby, didn't you, Colin? So that's an accusation. The inspector accused Colin of murdering Lord Digby. It was me who stole your money, said Jim. That's a confession. So Jim admitted to stealing the money. And right, I'll take the brown pair. So Andrew decided to take the brown pair. So I hope your answers were those answers. If you had different answers and you don't know why they are incorrect or why they didn't appear here, tell me right below and I will answer. I will definitely answer. Okay, so this is the reported speech. And I have already promised to some people that next week we're going to do tenses and modal verbs. So yes, we are going to continue with grammar, but I kind of had a thought that because we do grammar, so we could do something else and do a little bit of speaking. So much for oral examination and how to revise for it, yes? So every time you revise for oral examinations, you basically should take one or two of those examinations and break them up into pieces and practice. So do everything by yourself, as if you were taking the exam, and then you will automatically come up with vocabulary, with structures, with a lot of stories that you might have to use during your exam. So this is what you have to do, and this is what I did for you to show you how to do it. If we do have time, more time after grammar, then we're going to do that with more topics, yes? The first topic I chose is usually the first one that appears in any kind of course books. I chose this course book, Oxford Mature Trainer, for extended mature examination because this one is the one I use and I like it quite a lot, yes? So the first topic is always człowiek. So it's a human being or man, but I put a question mark there with man because most of you, or I hope all of you know that man as a word has two different meanings. It means a human being, but it also means a male. So there is this kind of ambiguity in the word, so I prefer the human being, especially that there was a time when two people were getting married and the priest would say, so now I pronounce you man and wife, and it kind of sounded slightly lame because, well, you human being and a wife, so it was changed to husband and wife, obviously. So because of the ambiguity of the word, I kind of chose human being. What can you expect when it comes to the mature examination? So I took a few questions that you might be asked during the introductory phrase when you are asked a few questions and you have to answer them. I took the questions, I answered them, I collected some vocabulary. If I come up with a few more vocabulary items, I will just write them down, okay? So, what could be the first question when it comes to the introductory phrase, the first part of your mature examination, which is not really part 1, but part 0, yes? So the first question could be, what personality traits do you particularly value and why? So when you have a human being, the topics that you might kind of wander around are the external appearance, the traits of character, emotions, relationships. Those might be the things that you will be asked about, okay? So what personality traits do you particularly value in people? So I've come up with a few. For example, frank and sincere. I like people who tell me the truth. who tell me what they think and don't beat around the bush. Yes? So don't tell me, well, no, but just tell me what they think. So straightforward, frank, sincere. I like people who are broad-minded because they are tolerant. They are not prejudiced against anybody. So they tolerate everybody, different cultures, different races. Yes? So prejudiced is another word that you might want to know. Yes? Prejudiced. So I don't like people who are prejudiced. I like people who are broad-minded, who are tolerant, who accept differences. I like people who are generous, who, when you go out and have a drink with them or have dinner with them, don't fight over every single coin or every single amount that they kind of spend and not you. The first time it's on me, the second time it's on you. I don't like people who are petty with their money. I like people who are persistent, so when they have a goal in life, they go towards it and they stick to it, they do it, yes, eventually. Assertive, because they know their own value, they're not shy and they're not kind of reserved in themselves, but they know they are good at things. They are good people. So, assertive. Witty. I like people who can say what they think and do it in a clever way. Sometimes ironic. Irony is nothing bad. So I like people who are witty, who say things in a clever way, in an ironic way, without being malicious, without being vicious. Yes? Vicious. Vicious. And I like people who are adaptable, who can find themselves in different situations with different groups of people, who do not offend other people, but just kind of go with the flow, adapt themselves, and become one of the group rather than stick out like a sore thumb kind of thing. Yes? Okay, another question. What qualities does one need to achieve success? Qualities of character, traits of character again. So this is about human being. So what qualities do you need? Well, you need to be an aspiring person, so somebody who sets goals for themselves, and those are not any goals, just the goals that they want to achieve in life. And those people are motivated or even driven. So they have the very strong motivation that drives them towards this goal. Then they are courageous because they take different routes and they are not shy to take them. They take risks and are slightly adventurous. They do whatever they have to do. I like people, those people who achieve success those are the people who show a lot of perseverance. I really like this word, and integrity. Perseverance means you never give up. Life is full of surprises and may put obstacles in front of you, but you just stick to your goal. You never give up. Even if something happens that kind of sets you back a little bit, you just keep on going. You persist in whatever you want to do. That's perseverance. And integrity is a set of values that you have in front of, kind of inside of you, and you stick to them. You trust yourself. You have this set of values that you stick to, and you never kind of sell your soul piece by piece. Okay? Humble and resourceful. Resourceful means having a lot of ideas, being kind of active and coming up with different things. That's very, very useful if you want to achieve success. And humble is one of those that I added because some people, when they want to achieve success, when they are really, really driven, sometimes they don't care who they meet on their way, and they are really ruthless. Humble or humility, when you are humble, that means that you respect the people that you meet on your way, that people from every walk of life that you might come across, meet on your way up, you respect them, you treat them with the respect they deserve, okay? Okay, another question. How would you describe your best friend? Well, I've had my best friends since school, one of them even since kindergarten, so I know them pretty well. You can think of your friends and immediately come up with a few adjectives or with a few kind of nouns that you associate with them. And here you can describe their appearance and you can describe their character. So when it comes to my first best friend, she is shorter than me and she's pretty fragile when it comes to her build, body build. She's dark-haired, she has short hair. She's a very warm person. She's a mum, so she is a very warm person, and she's a mother figure to me, definitely, as well, because she kind of is a role model in a way of what a mother should be, because she's very perceptive also. So she can see immediately if something is wrong. It doesn't matter if it's with her kids or with me, with anybody that she cares about, she can see that something is wrong, so she's very, very perceptive. She's also very generous with her personality, with her home, with her resources, with everything, and she's honest. She's a Scorpio, so she says what she thinks, and she does it openly but honestly. The other one that I have is tall and slim and very fit, because she's a dancer, so she's graceful, she's beautiful when she dances. She's also very disciplined. She started off, like me, from a very small town. She went to a huge city in Poland, the biggest one, and she made her way up. She was motivated, she was driven at the very beginning, and it has taken her to the place she always wanted to go to. So disciplined and very persistent, but also very hospitable. She never says no to a person who is in need. She never says no to me, to her friends, and she's very open-minded. She's a beautiful, beautiful person. Okay, another one. Never judge a book by its cover. So you might kind of come across a question which is a little bit more general and a little bit more like an, about opinions, about outlooks and attitudes when it comes to you. Yes, never judge a book by its cover. Does it apply to people's appearance, and how? You know the saying, hopefully, never judge a book by its cover. So when you see someone for the first time, you have an impression. Do you trust your first impressions or not? Can you actually tell something about a person from their appearance? Well, I believe that you can. Of course, first appearances might be deceptive, so may fool you, and you might have to change them later, but still, first impressions tell you something about a person. I kind of broke it up also into a few aspects. So first of all, face. When you look at a person and you look at their face, you can immediately draw some conclusions about this person. Do they smile? How do they smile? Is it a smirk or is it a grin? If it's a smirk, that means they are ironic, maybe vicious. If it's a grin, then they are honest, they are open, they are cheerful, yes? Smirk or grin. Eye contact. Do they maintain eye contact when they talk to you? Do they stick to it, or do they wander around the room with their eyes? If they maintain eye contact, to me, that means this is an honest person. This is a person who is open, who is telling me the truth, yes? So that's a good thing. Hair, yeah, hair can tell you something about a person if they look after it, if they take good care of it, if it's long or short, if it's in a certain style. Yeah, it can tell you something. Jewelry can tell you a lot about a person. Their earrings, their bracelets, their earrings, rings, everything. Are they artistic, or do they prefer kind of basic and simple outlook? You can see if they look at that, if they take pleasure in tiny details, in decorations, yes, if they embellish themselves. And makeup. Usually when women use makeup, they use it to kind of highlight and emphasize the place that they like the most about themselves. So you can also kind of figure out what the person actually likes about themselves. But if there is too much makeup, well, maybe somebody's trying to hide something, or maybe they feel a little bit insecure about themselves, about an element in their appearance, insecurity. Yes? Okay, that's face. What about clothes? Yes, you can say a lot about a person by just looking at their clothes. Are the clothes, but usually when you look at them in their home or informal kind of circumstances, because if you look at them in their work environment, then they will probably expect it to look a certain way. Therefore, it might not be actually a telltale sign, yes? So if the person in their natural kind of surroundings, in their natural environment, do they wear formal clothes, still elegant clothes, or rather casual or sporty? Then you can assess if the person prefers sporty style and prefers being comfortable, yes? Do they wear leather? Do they wear fur? Personally, I would not want to be a friend with a person who wears real fur, yes, real fur coats. Then you can kind of figure out if they like animals, if they are environmentally aware, and so on, yes? If leather, maybe they belong to a certain group that kind of dresses like that, who knows? High heels. Does the woman that you want to kind of assess, or that you are looking at, is she wearing high heels? Does she like high heels? Then maybe she likes her legs. Maybe she likes this outfit, so she likes being elegant. If men, well, my grandma used to say, look at man's shoes, because if he takes care of his shoes, he takes care of his home, of the things he owns. So he will look after his home environment. If you agree, we can agree, disagree. A handbag, I think you can tell a lot about a woman by looking at her handbag. How much it contains, usually everything possible, and what kind of style it is, yes? You can say a lot about her. Then the body language. Does this person use a lot of gestures? Yes, if they use a lot of gestures, they might be very expressive, they might be very extroverted, yes, and they might be friendly. Do they stand there kind of stiff and rigid looking? Then maybe they are shy, maybe they are reserved, maybe they don't like the company they are in. You can say a lot there. And the body posture. Are they, for example, in a kind of upright and comfortable position, or are they slouching and trying to hide something? You can tell a lot from the way they stand. Another question, what makes you happy? And then you have to talk about emotions. So as I said, appearance, traits of character, and emotions. So what makes me happy? Well, sunshine makes me happy, because when there is sunshine out there, I feel more joyful, I feel more cheerful, I feel happier, I feel energetic. That's why I don't like winter months, because there is very little sunshine. What also makes me happy? Socializing with friends. If I socialize with friends, those are the people I feel most comfortable with. So they give me energy, I can feel open, I can feel carefree to present my own personality and to talk about the things I want to talk about. A quiet night in, so staying at home in the evening, listening to some music, watching a movie, reading a book, then yes, I feel happy, because this is the time of relaxation, of tranquility at home. So I can feel peaceful, I can relax, I can let go, I can unwind. Yes, those things make me happy. I can feel peace of mind. Is lying ever justified? This is the last question that I kind of came up with when it comes to a human being. Is lying ever justified? Why? Why not? Well, there are a few aspects that you have to take into consideration when it comes to lying. For example, the motivation behind the lie. So why is this person lying? If this person is lying and using a white lie, which is a lie that is kind of there not to hurt somebody, but just to kind of say something which doesn't present the whole reality, but kind of covers it up a little bit in order not to hurt someone, then this lie, in my opinion, is acceptable. Because if, I don't know, if your friend comes up and says, what do you think about my new boyfriend? And you don't like the first impression, but it might change, it might be deceptive. So you kind of economize with the truth. I like this expression, being economical with the truth. That means not telling the whole truth. So you say, well, I don't know much about him yet. Let me just figure out what I think during the next meeting or with time, because, you know, first impressions are very deceptive. It's not lying, it's being economical with the truth. So white lies are acceptable, in my opinion. It also depends on what job you have. So, for example, doctors, they are obliged to tell the truth. So they should tell the patient what kind of condition they are in, because this is their job. But when you think about teachers, well, they should embellish a little bit. They should decorate a little bit, because you shouldn't sometimes just tell kind of openly and be blunt with the parents that there is something wrong, or with the student. You have to be encouraging. But lawyers, well, they don't tell the truth, and this is their job. They have to protect the client. So sometimes in their situation, being economical with the truth, so not telling the whole truth, might be the way to go. Yes? And the last aspect, children. So should you lie to children? So should you tell them that there is no Santa Claus? Well, perhaps better not. Yes? So in case of children, talking about that kind of aspect, so Santa Claus or Tooth Fairy, those are the magical part of childhood, so you should preserve them. You should stick to the lie. But on the other hand, when it comes to things like, Mom, where do children come from? I think you should tell the truth. Maybe not, you know, the whole truth, but the truth. So a few elements instead of actually telling them how it works. And if they ask, why shouldn't I eat chocolate all the time? You shouldn't tell them that chocolate is bad and you can die of it, and so lie, but you should tell them the truth. So you should tell them, well, this is sugar, so your teeth might go bad and you will have to go to the dentist, and it causes obesity, but in small amounts, it actually releases endorphins, so it's good. Telling the truth to kids, tricky question, okay? So this is those were quite a few questions, but I wanted you kind of to see how I worked through them, collecting vocabulary and answering those questions to myself. I know it kind of sounds lame that I'm talking to myself, but it kind of prepares the people who do that. This kind of process prepares people to the actual examination. So it's a good way to go. Okay, task 1, and you have the bubbles, remember? So you do the same thing, you work through the bubbles. Wraz z koleżanką przygotowujesz prezentację na temat polskich nastolatków. You have to present Polish teenagers. You have 4 bubbles, remember, you have to mention and develop. So the examiner starts and says, so what should we present? And you go with the first bubble. The appearance. Well, I believe teenagers nowadays in Poland have the freedom to express themselves, and they are much more expressive, much more extravagant in their presentation of themselves, and they are therefore very colorful. They're also very rebellious. They don't like uniforms. They want to show the world what they are like. But on the other hand, there are very high standards of beauty when it comes to teenagers nowadays, so they might feel a little bit kind of stuck in this role that they have to aspire to a certain appearance or a certain look, and this might be negative for them. A lot of details. Problems? Well, connected with that, meaning the expectations that are put on teenagers, put a lot of stress on teenagers nowadays. Therefore, they might suffer from depression. There is a lot of competition at school for jobs, for extra courses, etc. Therefore, they might feel kind of trapped in those expectations. There is sometimes also, talking about problems, lack of attention at home. So those children feel they have no help provided. And from the outside, there are high standards and goals that are sometimes unattainable. You can't really reach them, but teenagers feel that they should, and they keep on trying, which causes stress, depression, and so on. Plans for the future? I believe teenagers in Poland nowadays are very flexible. They know that the world is their oyster, so they have lots of opportunities and they can do whatever they want. So they use that, and they don't specialize in one thing, but they use different opportunities. They develop in many directions, and that's a good idea, that's a wonderful thing. But on the other hand, too much choice might also be slightly negative, because you become you can't choose, yes? And indecision is not a very good thing. If you become indecisive, then you don't know what you are good at, yes? And then you become an eternal teenager. So you don't really grow up, and you don't become mature. The last one, the most popular hobby, well, I would say that nowadays teenagers, not only in Poland, but generally, their free time activities are connected usually with the internet. So blogs, vlogs, trendsetters, they follow certain people and their blogs, their videos, they comment, so entertainment. Unfortunately, this entertainment is usually kind of home-oriented and internet-oriented. Therefore, they socialize less, they go out less, and they don't really use their personal relationships with other teenagers that much. Yes, so the maybe personal relationships are in the background more than their own kind of activities at home. Okay. Do I have time for one more? 2-3 minutes, please. So task 2 is when you have to describe the picture. Remember who, where, and what they are doing. What I can see in the picture. In the foreground, I can see a woman who. The woman looks in her 20s or late 20s, maybe early 30s. She seems to be the secretary or a receptionist. In the background, I can see 4 men, adult men who are talking. Where? This seems to be a reception or a secretary's office in somewhere. I can't see the pictures in the background, but I can see the huge desk, so it seems like to be as a reception area or a secretary's office. What they are doing? Well, the woman is screaming and she seems to be panicking, or she seems to be frustrated, she seems to be helpless and overwhelmed. The men are talking to her all at the same time. So they supposedly have some kind of business that they want to deal with very quickly, and they're talking, yes? They're very impatient, they're angry. The questions that you have here, why do you think the receptionist is so frustrated? Why? Obviously, because there are too many people standing over her who are angry, and she feels alone, and they seem to be pretty rude. So she's frustrated, she's panicking because there are too many people at the same time. What or who drives you mad? And here you can talk about the person who drives you mad the most. I would say, well, what drives me mad are unpunctual people, because they seem to be the people who don't respect my time. And I always try to be on time, so unpunctuality drives me mad. Narrow-mindedness drives me mad, because that's lack of tolerance. And if you are not tolerant, you are unwilling, you are prejudiced, you're unwilling to put up with people's differences. So I don't like that. And inattentiveness. When I talk to someone, I give them my full attention. When I conduct a class, I give my students my full attention. So I don't like it when they don't give it back to me. And the last question, tell me about a situation when you or someone you know panicked. And remember, the last question is always a story in the past. My story is when I choked on a piece of candy that my grandma gave me. Of course, you can tell it from the perspective of an outsider, that you saw it. But I could say, well, I remember a situation when I was a kid and my grandma gave me a piece of sweets, a hard piece of sweets, and kind of it got stuck in my throat and I started choking. I was like 4 years old, I barely remember. My grandma panicked and she started screaming, but my mum, who was working at a hospital at that time, I mean, she worked all her life at a hospital, she came running, picked me up by the legs, slammed me on the back, and the candy fell out, yes? That's enough, okay? Always mention, always develop. This is how you prepare yourself for those, or for the oral examination, for those activities. You go through them, you break them up into pieces, you answer them, looking at yourself in the mirror, looking at your friend, doing it with a friend, or just simply doing it for yourself, by yourself and for yourself, yes? This is how you do it. And then you come up with vocabulary, write it down, or look for it, because if you can't really say what you mean, then you start looking for it in a dictionary, online or wherever, and you find it. You work with it, you remember it. This is how you do it. We didn't manage to do one more part, but if you like it, write it underneath and we'll do another one. And I'll try to be a little bit more concise. So on Monday, we're going to do modal verbs or tenses. So I promised those 2 aspects, modal verbs and tenses, to the people who commented and who asked me for those things. And this is what I'm going to do to fulfill my promise. Probably tenses on Monday. If you like this one, if you like this class and you want me to do another one, please tell me. I'll do it after grammar. So thank you very much for today.
Bardzo dziękujemy, pani profesor Monika Zalewska. A za chwileczkę język niemiecki.